Hello to all of you FGO MLG players.
I'm Ayman.
And I am Dedazy. And today we will be looking at my top 5 AOE lancers.
And just a quick note, just like the single target lancers list, I won't be having Melazine on this one. That's because she is so broken and she is probably number 1 on both lists. Who would have thought? Also, before we start, if you enjoy my content, then be sure to like and subscribe.
Shut the hell up. Subscribe or else.
Okay, coming up at number 5 is the not so popular Sakura face, Parvati, or Parvati, however you want to pronounce it. Despite being quite an old servant, she is still one of the premier quick lancers or loopers in general in the game.
Her first skill is a quick up and NP gain up on a high uptime. It's a very basic skill, but it's so good, it enables her to be very consistent with damage and looping. Her second skill is a mana burst on steroids. Besides the mana burst attack up, she gets a massive defense up, star gen up, and basically becomes debuff immune for 1 turn.
She literally becomes a super servant for 1 turn. A very good skill despite the low uptime. Third skill is a targetable NP battery with a heal. 10% NP gauge to work and drains that 10% NP gauge.
Amazing passives. Very high debuff resistance is always nice.
Alter Ego is not that bad of an event, as night class servants can still be viable against Alter Egos despite having Pretenders now.
Her NP, it deals solid damage and has a chance to charm. The charm chance isn't that high, but remember, she can spam this NP quite easily, so you'll land the charm more times than you think.
You can never go wrong with Parvati. Coming up at number 4 is the second best tomboy, Canis. Now, I wasn't gonna put her on the list, but then I remembered her latest buff, and boy was it a buff.
Don't worry, we will get there. Her first skill is a good attack up, but for 2 turns. Not the best, could use a buff. Second skill, which got buffed, and boy was it a buff. It gives her an on-attack buff for 3 attacks or 3 turns. That increases her attack before doing damage for 1 turn. Kinda like Okita. It also inflicts attack down to enemies for 1 turn. That's not all. She also gets stars per turn and an NP battery.
This skill is so packed. 15 stars per turn is no joke. Easily EX rank skill in my opinion. Her third skill is a Guts with a damage cut for 3 times or 3 turns.
The Guts doesn't have the best uptime, but that damage cut is not to be underestimated. She will not be taking damage from face cards with that on. Very good passives. Madness Enhancement EX is just perfect.
And then her MP. It gives her an NP up and a big boy crit buff for 3 turns. Then deals solid damage. The crit buff synergizes really well with her kit. Overall an amazing DPS servant. Part of me wishes she was a single target instead, but still very solid for boss fights.
Coming up at number 3, the Chad with a voice that totally doesn't match, Percival.
Not gonna lie, I was really confused when I first heard his voice.
I was gonna add Melt on the list, but Percival is kinda better in my opinion, and the fact he is not limited or story locked makes it all the better.
This guy is an art farming extraordinaire, who can also be a bit tanky if you want him to be.
Anyways, his first skill is an arts and NP damage up on a decent uptime plus an NP battery. A very good skill that helps make him very consistent at looping and with damage.
Second skill is a self-taunt for 3 turns and increases his NP gain when hit. The 3-turn taunt is amazing and it's what gives him the tanking ability I spoke about earlier. The NP gen up shouldn't be slept on as well, as it helps him get his NP pack, which also helps him indirectly with his tanking.
Third skill is a targetable invincibility and a solid heal. A very good piece of utility to have and can be combined with his second skill for some epic tanking. And then the NP. It gives him ignore invincibility for 1 turn and gives him an NP up for 1 turn. It then deals solid damage and heals the ally with the lowest HP in the party.
This NP is incredible. Not only is it really nice to look at, it has 4 hits so it can easily loop. It has ignore invincibility so you can use him in challenge quests. And then the cherry on top is the heal, which will most likely always heal him if you are tanking properly with Percival. Overall, such a marvelous servant, and I can't wait for him to come to NA.
Coming up at number 2, to no one's surprise, it's Mr. Roma. No, not the Chad one. Yet this one. He has one of the highest attack and really good gains.
That's good and all, but his skills is where it's at, baby. First skill is a charisma with a crit buff. It also gives an additional crit buff for Roman allies and inflicts the Roman trait on all enemies for 5 turns. This will come into play later on.
Second skill is an invincibility for 2 attacks or 3 turns. an NP battery and a stars bomb. A very good defensive skill, although can be a bit awkward with the NP battery.
Third skill is a buster up on a high uptime. Increases his star absorb for 1 turn and have an on attack effect for 3 turns, where he turns enemies into Romans. Which the star absorb was for 3 turns, but still a very good skill overall.
Really cool passives. And then there is the NP. It deals extra damage to enemies depending on how many Roman trait debuffs. It then inflicts another Roman trait debuff for enemies and grants the Roman trait to all allies and increases the party's attack.
He basically turns everyone into a Roman, because everyone just has to become Roman. A very extreme way of patriotism, not gonna lie. But it's an amazing NP overall and works really well with his skills.
A spectacular servant overall, and I don't blame you if you want to place him at number 1. But before that, here are some honorable mentions.
We've got Vetra, Lancer Rioma, and Summer Melt, all being outloopers, which is a bit suspicious. But as for Rioma and Vetra, the reason they're not on the list is because I haven't tried them that much, so I can't really judge them. While for Melt, despite being one of the best Lancers ever, is the fact that Percival and Fion do exist and they are not limited or story locked, so they're much easier to attain at higher NP levels, and they kinda do a similar job.
Coming up at number 1
is the best Reen face herself, Ereshkigal.
Oh, of course. You are such a simp.
Yeah, you're one to talk.
So shit? What's this?
Where did you get that?
Anyways, Ereshkigal has always been an amazing servant, but then she got an NP buff. And boom, she's definitely on the borderline of being absolutely broken.
She has low attack and her gains aren't that amazing, except for that one arts card. First skill is an invincibility, with a chance of giving her buff removal resistance, debuff immunity and insta-kill immunity for 1 turn.
Love that invincibility is guaranteed unlike her sister, and that all of the other effects are defensive, so it's never awkward to use. Second skill is a Buster Mana Burst, and casually has a 50% battery. She sacrifices having a longer cooldown for a 50% NP battery, which is absolutely one of the best trade-offs you can ask for.
Third skill applies the Blessing of Kerr, increases the NP gain, defense and max HP for all allies on a decent uptime. You might be asking, what does the Blessing of Kerr does? Just you wait.
And then there is the NP, which got buffed, and boy, they went full nuclear there.
She now gets a buster up for 1 turn, then deals extra damage to earth attributes, which is not that rare. But then it also gives allies who have the Blessing of Kerr a charisma, a critical attack chance resistance, and grants them insta-kill immunity for 3 turns.
Not only does her MP deal respectable damage, now she single-handedly provides 6 different buffs to the party. That's a DPS support hybrid right there.
She is honestly a splendid servant that can just fit in any team or any type of quest and do so well.
Plus, she's adorable.
Do you agree with the list? Let's deliberate that down in the comment section.
Be sure to check out my top 5 single target Lancers and my top 5 series. But that's it for this video.
Now like and subscribe to this shitty channel.
Bye.